We have an international panel of, through our connections in the forums we're involved in internationally, so we're bringing the top digital people from Estonia, New Zealand, South Korea, UK, and America to do a panel with them. They have case studies. It's a very intense course, but it's very, very high level. And those people then return to their ministries, and they have a different outlook. They're on our side. And we used it. It wasn't only, one, it's good for the civil service in Israel, for people on the job to learn about digital. Beyond that, it's important for our initiative, because now all these people, we didn't just choose anybody. Who did we choose? And at least definitely in the first cohort, we chose, we really need the budget department to be on our side for all these different projects. Let's choose the top person in the budget department, or the number 2 person in the budget department. They're going to be in the program. After that, the person, you have somebody to talk to. You have a network. Instead of saying, we have a meeting with the budget department, you call up the person and say, hey, listen, we have a meeting next week about this project. Oh yeah, we talked about that project in the course. It's a great thing. That's what got rid of a lot of the barriers to cooperation. So we found this has been a great tool. We've recently started, only a couple months ago, the first cohort of a municipal digital leaders program. Well, with the same idea, but bringing people from different municipalities together, and also from nonprofit. In the digital leaders program, the national one, it's also there's some nonprofits, no private sector, but we have some leaders from major nonprofits in Israel, because we see the government and the nonprofit work so closely in the social fields that we didn't want to separate that. We wanted to have them be part of the conversation. And this, we found, has been a very successful tool. Yeah. Finally, we're on to our last major topic, which is accelerated economic growth. So we talked about digital health as a national growth engine. One is big data in health. So that's allowing for improving healthcare, early diagnosis, what we talked about, precision medicine. There's a rising demand for medical big data, and there's a lot of startups and tech giants that are dealing with it, also big pharmaceutical companies. Why is Israel uniquely situated to promote big data and digital health? The reason is, one, we have our entrepreneurial environment. We have a very advanced healthcare system. We have 2 of the 3 largest databases of online medical records. The number 1 in the world is Kaiser in America, and number 2 and 3 are in Israel. Because Israel's medical records, we've been digital. We're not digital in anything in government except for medical health records, and that we're very, very digital. The benefit of that is we have such a big database, and not only that, Israel, because we're a nation of immigrants, or a country of immigrants, where Jews that have been separated for hundreds of years come together, we have a lot of different ethnicities. Meaning that if you have an online database of everybody living in Norway, well, they're all basically the same. They're very similar, because they've all been living in Norway for generations. In Israel, you have, I moved here from America. I'm very, we call Ashkenazi. I'm very Eastern European descent. We have Sephardi Jews who are Middle Eastern or North African descent. We have Ethiopian Jews. We have a lot of different types of people from all over the world, but they're all in one place. So it allows for also a lot of different medical data analysis. Another project we have is called the Innovation Fund. It's basically a grant program for public sector technology innovation, meaning focusing on health and education and welfare. There's two different phases. If you're before the R&D phase, you can get a grant up to, I believe it's 30,000. You can get a grant up to 300,000 shekel, which is like $75,000, and you only have to provide 10% of matching. Meaning you have to provide, to get the 300,000 shekel, you have to provide 30,000 shekel. That's if you're pre-R&D. If you're post-R&D, you can get up to $1 million, 4 million shekel, but you have to provide 50%. So it depends what phase you're at, and there's a whole process, an application process, there's a lot of demand. We have 2/3 of the requests that we got were in health and education startup ideas. And I put a few examples here. One is using medical data, big data in health, for early warning signs for strokes and different cardiac events. There was a company called Zebra, which created a diagnostic platform for automatic diagnosis of diseases. You can basically, you have an X-ray. This program analyzes the X-ray and already tells the doctor This is what it is. This is in 97% of similar cases, this is the diagnosis, this is the treatment, and things like that. It's in order, one, to save time for medical professionals, two, to be a tool for decision making for doctors. It helps that the doctor can still choose what he wants, but it already helps him, hey, listen, this is something you should know. There are also outliers, obviously, but AI has a major ability to be a decision-making tool for medical professionals, and there are a lot of startups that are working on that. There are also some that are not medically related that are dealing with a decision-making platform for financial systems. The idea of that entire innovation fund is that the government will give a little bit of money, will give seed money to what it thinks are good ideas. If you succeed, you only have to return the seed money. If you fail, you don't return anything. So there's very little risk for the government. Also, it's very low amount of risk. I think the entire budget was maybe 30 million shekels, maybe 40 million shekels. So very small, but the potential is very big.
So you cooperate with the Innovations Authority?
Yeah, this is with the Innovation Authority. They're running it. We're funding part of it. Meaning it's a joint funding, but it's their project.
So you are in a higher level of management?
So basically the head of Digital Israel is partnering, like we have an agreement with the head of the Innovation Authority. Okay, another thing we have is helping small and medium businesses get online. We realized that a lot of businesses in the periphery, actually the idea came after the last war in Gaza in 2014. A lot of businesses in the south weren't able, they didn't make any money because for 2 months there were so many rockets, no one was coming to buy. So what we decided is we wanted to help them get online, because if they're online, then even if nobody wants to go to the south, they can still sell. So, and in addition, we wanted to teach them digital skills and how to expand their business. So what we've done is we're funding over 1,000 businesses. I think it might even be 2,000 now in the periphery, not just the south, now also the north. The budget includes building a website, how to advertise online, how to set up a payment system, do online shipping, training program for the owners, and subsidizing ICT tools, meaning they might not have a computer, so we'll subsidize getting a computer or buying, if they need to buy Windows or something like that. And we're partnered with the Economy Ministry on this, and with an organization called Ma'of, who they're the ones that are actually holding the hand of the businesses and teaching them. We're not the ones here, we're just funding. We're promoting and funding it, but this is a program that the Economy Ministry is pushing. So that's basically my presentation. I did a lot of talking.
That's great.
Now you guys can talk.
You said that you have started in 2005?
2013.
2013?
Yeah. 2013 was the government decision. The bureau was actually started in 2014. I joined about 2 months after it started. Originally we were like 5 people. Now we're huge. We're like 12.
12? Only 12 people?
12 government workers, and then we have, I said, about 10 people outsourced, and we have a few students who are here and part-time. Very small. We wanted, because with the way we saw it is, we don't want to become, what happens, the government creates a new organization or department, and then it grows, it becomes enormous. And then it moves very slowly. And we didn't want to become part of the old system. We want to stay small. We're going to expand, but we're expanding slowly into different areas.
So what is your plan? When you are hoping to finish your program, or it could be endless?
So in the government decision that created Digital Israel, it was it's creating a temporary bureau for 5 years. We have a 5-year mandate. So theoretically, at the end of theoretically in 2019, because we only started in 2014, in about 2 years, the government has to decide if we're going to continue or if we've solved all the digital problems in Israel and we can shut down. It might be a political decision. I think that there will be a continued need for Digital Israel to continue, but there might be the government might decide to make organizational changes, maybe to merge us with the ICT authority or do something. I feel that we're going to stay as a separate unit within the Ministry for Social Equality. Meaning we're not our own unit. We're a department of the Ministry for Social Equality. The minister is walking around here now. Her office is in Jerusalem, but on Thursdays everybody likes to be in Tel Aviv. It's closer to home for most people, so they like it. It's like the thing to do. So I believe we're going to stay as a unit even past 2019, because I think that there's always going to be new issues popping up. And because digital is moving so fast, the government, we're just trying to keep up, and it's very difficult.
Have you developed a strategy by yourself, or have you attracted any international consultants?
So we've been using consultants in Israel, but I like Deloitte. So Deloitte's an international corporation, but we're working with Deloitte Israel, obviously. So we've worked with different consulting firms. Deloitte's one, Task is another, but there have been several others. And they're the ones that are helping us do the international comparisons and benchmarks and figuring out what's happening in Israel, who the different players are. But we also have, because I'm in charge of the international relations, we also reach out to America and to the UK and to our contacts in different countries on specific issues. Meaning, I won't write them and say, "Hey, what are you doing in digital?" But I will write to England and say, "Hey, on this specific e-service on the gov.uk website, we want to do something similar to that. Like, for instance, in licensing businesses, how to shorten that entire process. Right now it takes like a month or 2 months. That's very long, and we want businesses. There's some countries a business can start in 5 hours. We want to get there. So we reached out on a specific issue to a specific country, and they help us.
What about your budget? What is this budget sources?
Right. So the budget, I don't deal with the budget. I'm trying to remember the exact numbers. So I might not be exactly right, and I can get you more exact numbers. But I believe the budget was something like, I want to say like around $80 million maybe last year. I think it was like around 350 million shekels, something like that. So that's about 80 million.
Only for 1 year?
I think it was, some of the projects are like 2-year projects, so it's a little bit, it's 1 year, 2 year. But this year, I know what my projects are budgeted at. I'm not sure. I'll check and I'll send you. I can send you some numbers.
What is your main expenses? You said you have a very small team.
Right. My salary, obviously, I get paid. No, the main thing is the funding other ministries. Meaning, it's not stuff we're doing. That's why, for instance, we have projects in the Ministry of Health, tens of millions of shekels in the Ministry of Health that we're co-funding. And we have a digital leader. There's actually, I think they have 3 now in the Ministry of Health. Definitely 2, maybe 3. That they're running the programs there, and the Ministry of Health is putting 50%, and we're putting 50%. So it's 80 million shekels, but we have one person here in our staff that's in contact with the Ministry of Health, but they're not day in, day out doing the projects. The Ministry of Health is doing the projects. What they're doing is checking up and making sure, and the budget is being allocated, and they're part of the steering group and the committees and making decisions, but they're not actually implementing. And they're also in charge of 2 other things. Because it's not as much work when you're not implementing. It's much easier, and that's why we're able to stay as small as we are. The more that we implement, when I said that the pie is basically 60% we partner with ministries and 40% we lead, the more that we lead, the more people we need, because the leading means you need multiple people with an internal team. So we try to do less of that, but we started out maybe 80-20. But we've seen that there are certain things that are really important that if we're not going to do it, it's not going to happen. So we've been expanding. So, and that's where we'll be expanding to. Meaning, when our staff expands, we're expanding there. We have, for instance, the transformation team is one of the main teams that deals with the cross-ministry projects that are complicated that we need to lead. For instance, the benefits, the digital benefits engine. So the transformation team right now is 2 people. It's going to expand to 5 or 6 people, which is huge for us. Working with the ministries and the ministries implement is much easier, but that's where a lot of the budget goes, for sure.
So about the venture fund, you said that you have created the venture fund, and is that venture fund is under your control? So you're running this.
So it's no. So basically we have the digital leader that works with the chief scientist's office with the Innovation Authority. So his name is Moti. He's the digital leader for the Economy Ministry and for the Innovation Authority. So he sits on the decision committee for which projects are chosen. We have a voice there. Moti's a good guy. We trust him. But so we're part of, meaning the Innovation Authority and us, we're partnered together. We're both putting money. we make the decisions together, and we agree with each other. We have the same basic view of what things are important to invest in. Obviously, it can be a political thing. We try to avoid the political side of it because we're less interested in if digital Israel is in the headline. We don't. It's less important to us as long as the work gets done.
So do you have any efficiency measurements?
So so that's a good question. We're working on that. We have one of the projects. Again, not everything is in the is in here, but it is in the booklet. Is we're creating a national digital index, a national digital index. Doesn't exist in Israel, which will include efficiency indicators for all the digital projects. Meaning, we have a national digital plan, which includes all the projects I mentioned and a lot more, and a lot of them are in the booklet. For each of them, there will be a measurement of both in terms of output and in terms of outcome. But it's not; they're not in the booklet, and I don't have them yet. I'm not on the team. Also, I don't exactly know where it stands. It's something that's one of our main things, also because we need to know how to measure. We need to know how to measure to be able to justify our budget and how we allocate it, and why that we should maybe allocate even more for what we're doing. And so the output and outcome are going to be very important, but it's still something that's being built. We understand it's a little bit silly sometimes to say we're doing all this stuff and it's very important, but we don't know how to measure it to prove it's important. But we also didn't want to wait till we had the measurements in place, because we knew that some things have already worked in other countries. We're not recreating the wheel. We know it's going to work because it's worked in 5 other countries. So we're just going to go. We're going to do it, and we'll try to measure it on as we go.
Do you have any KPIs?
We do. I don't have them, but I'll send them to you.
Okay. So by whom KPIs are settled?
So projects that we did it with consulting firm, obviously, again comparing to other countries and how they do. Some of the stuff is stuff that we decided because we're in charge of the digital plan. We're in charge of creating the digital plan in partnership with the ICT authority and different ministries. But for the most part, we're the ones that are defining, because a lot of the projects, because we're putting money and we're saying health ministry, we're going to help you fund projects. We have, just like anybody that's investing, you have a certain amount of power to say, this is what we want to measure, this is what's important to us, but we talk to them. It's part of, for each ministry, like I said, we're creating a digital strategy. That strategy includes what we're measuring and why we're measuring that and how we should measure it. So it's in partnership.
And who's your boss?
My boss is Shaili, the CEO of Digital Israel, who unfortunately couldn't meet with you. But my English is better than hers anyway.
And who is his boss?
Who's her boss? So her boss is the Minister for Social Equality, Gila Gamliel, who's the
Ministry of Social Equality.
For Social Equality, yeah.
А вот когда они будут разрабатывать план, получается, они сами решают, допустим, что, допустим, какому-то министерству нужно что-то делать. Соответственно, они скажут этому министерству, они будут просто делать, или все-таки они...
Я же спрашиваю это.
Совместно не бывает такого?
Нет, они совместно делают, они говорят, я же спрашивал, вы встречаете сопротивление? Он говорит, да, очень большое, но мы им говорим, вот мировой опыт, вот наш план, вот общенациональный план, и мы вам даем 50% денег на этот проект. И когда мы говорим, мы на 50% спонсируем его, финансируем, они соглашаются. Вот.
Ну как это же один бюджет, государственный, как они могут 50% поделить?
Ну все равно у ведомства, наверное, свой бюджет, они именно надо ужиться, они еще добавляют 50% для оцифровки. Еще вопросы какие?
Я вот мало услышала про инфраструктуру. То есть фактически они, у них частный сектор, да, вот операторы и все такое, они ничего не...
Are you responsible for developing infrastructure?
Not so much. A lot of the infrastructure is under the responsibility of the communications ministry. We're also, like I said, we understand that in some places infrastructure is critical, so there might be certain specific points that will invest in infrastructure for specific projects, but we're not we're, for instance, not in terms of getting the entire country with broadband. That's the communications ministry. We get updated by them. We know it's important to us because it's important for some of the projects we want to promote, but we're not in charge of it, and we don't fund it for the most part.
Они сами начали, да? Они консалтинг брали. Да, единственное, план
Что
какой-то
правильно,
подробный,
скажите.
давайте. Бюджет, план.
So we would like to have any information you could provide.
И презентация.
Презентация.
Yeah, I'll send the presentation.
Yes.
And I'll send also the booklet,
Yes.
which I think you'll enjoy. It's a very big file though. It's like 10 or 12 megabytes.
have, like-
Maybe if you have a few minutes, I'd like to hear where Kazakhstan is in
Yes,
terms
of
of digital
course.
strategy and policy. I'd be interested.
Of course. Okay, I'll start, and I'll ask my colleagues to continue. And so this year we have a big political decision from the president to improve digital industry in Kazakhstan by creating two programs. The first one is Digital Kazakhstan, and the second one is Technopark for IT startups. So
Цифровое Казахстане должно учитываться мировые эти тренды по цифровизации отраслей.
yeah. So Digital Kazakhstan I think, is quite similar to Digital Israel program, and now we're learning international experience and international best practice to improve and increase program quality. And but for us, I mean personally for me and for my friend, our task is to create and develop a tech park.
For startups.
Yes, because we are not startup nation, and we need more startups to help government modernize themselves. And что еще расскажешь?
Ну, у нас получается, ну, у них получается направление, допустим, видите, они инфраструктуру не развивают, потому что они же, вот, как Елена сказала, у них свои, допустим, они понимают, что программа обеспечения, да.
Министерство у них и коммуникации.
Коммуникации развивают.
Да, но оно все равно в программе-то это как KPI, направление у них это не берут, да. А у нас, получается, направление мы сначала инфраструктуру должны построить, потом
So
получается...
our difference is that Digital Kazakhstan program is responsible also for improve technological infrastructure. We mean internet access and hardware, data centers, etc.
Да, потом у нас тоже акцент идет на цифровую грамотность, то есть у нас тоже самое.
And we also focus on digital literacy.
Great.
Обязательно цифровизация отраслей экономики, ну то есть эти заводы, все мы должны перенести на цифровую.
And we have a lot of paper databases in everywhere. So we have purposes to digitize everything.
And
Smart city.
we have problem that every ministry have their own